On Assam left is YB Nik Nazmi Ahmad, and currently he is a deputy speaker for Selangor State Legislative Hall, and he is a graduate with a law degree in King's College London. Oh, sorry, not to mention that YB Yeoh earned a law degree in University of Tasmania as well. And on my left is Mr. Aslam Abdul Jalil. He's the founding committee of Malaysian Interest Group, and he's very active in all the humanitarian cause, especially in Israel and Palestine conflicts. So let's not delay this event. Firstly, I would like to invite YB Yeoh to speak on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samdek Joe, for inviting me to come along and just share my experience. I'm here on an official program by the Australia-Malaysia Institute for Young Political Leaders, but we have some free time today from 4 to 6. So this is an unofficial program that we're here. I came because I saw the tweet. Some of them tweeted Nik Nazmi and said, see you. So I said, oh, where are you going? I'm going to tag along. So that's why I'm here. So I don't have anything specific I want to share with you, but maybe just my experience as an assembly person in Subang Jaya and why I do the things I do. I graduated from University of Tasmania, my law degree. So I spent 2 years in KDU, 2 years in Tasmania. And like many young Malaysians, I wanted to migrate. I just wanted to settle in Australia because I really love Australia. And so when I went back to do my bar in KL, I attempted to come back here. Okay, so I came back to do my CLP, even though I'm already a qualified lawyer in Malaysia. So I spent 6 months here to do my CLP, and then I got admitted into the Supreme Court of Tasmania as a practitioner. And then I found a job in Hobart as a lawyer, litigation lawyer. And at that time, there were about 10 jobs in the city, and we have about 60 grads, and I was given one of the jobs. And so I applied for PR under the Employment Sponsor Scheme program, but I couldn't get my PR because the test under this Employment Sponsor Scheme is really quite tough. You must prove that you have offered a job to Australian grads. Nobody wanted it, then it was given to a Malaysian girl. Obviously, it's very hard to prove that kind of test. So I didn't get my PR, and my father said, please come home, stop wandering around, just come home. So I had to go back to Subang Jaya. So I grew up all my life in Subang Jaya, and I practiced law for 3 years in PJ. I was very unhappy because as a young lawyer, you earn about 1,800 to 2,000 ringgit. And then public transportation is not good. You need to go from court to court. So I ended up buying a car. And then I have to spend, out of 2,000 ringgit, 880 to pay for my car. And then, petrol. I was living at home, free internet, free food, free astro. Still, I couldn't survive with only 1,000 ringgit. And there was no savings. And so there was no satisfaction. And during that course of time, I met up with my schoolmate who also came back from Melbourne. And we started talking about politics in Malaysia. And that's how I was made aware of my right to vote. And so Edward met up with me and said, as a young Malaysian, if you're unhappy, you should register yourself to vote. So I did that in 2007. I registered myself in the post office in USJ1. And then I just joined a political party together with Edward because at that time, Tony Phua came back to form a branch in PJ, a DAP branch. And so he needed 15 young professionals. And so I tagged along. I just signed up because of Edward. And up to 2008, my only exposure in the party was to arrange for food and drinks for the opening of Tony Phua Service Centre. That was it. Okay, I go because I just want to accompany my friend so that he didn't have to go to meetings alone. And in 2007, I was registered as a voter and waiting to vote for the first time. And so in 2008, when Patla dissolved Parliament, I was asked to be on standby to be a candidate in Subang Jaya. Why I could relate to DAP and why I joined DAP at the time is because Tony Phua was an English grad. And for me, I grew up in Subang Jaya. I went to Sekolah Kebangsaan Subang Utama. So I cannot speak Mandarin, even as a Chinese. And there's no way I can join MCA because I can't speak Chinese. And I cannot, so okay, I have to look for a party, and at that time it was, I can't join PAS, of course you have PKR and DAP, and since I know Edward, and Edward was introduced by Tricia to see Tony, so I just joined along, okay. So when I was offered to run, 2 weeks before nomination day, with no political background, no political training, I was an event manager at that time. I did law for 3 years, and then I wanted something less stressful, so I went to event management. And I just got married in January, and I was offered a seat. So we said yes because we just wanted to give it a go, because everybody's saying there's nothing to lose, just give it a go and see whether we can have a stronger opposition in Selangor. At that time in Selangor, we have 56 seats. In 2008, the opposition only had 2 seats out of 56. Okay, so very small, and we campaigned on the assumption that we just wanted a stronger opposition in Selangor. So I went to campaign without any experience. In that 2 weeks, took my campaign photograph, took out 700 ringgit to run the campaign, and because we didn't have any experience, we went to campaign with our ideals and our ideas on how we want to change Subang Jaya. And so all my friends, young people, they formed the campaign team. So it was very easy. We set up. First, we had to delete our personal Facebook account because a lot of uni photos, not very appropriate, are all up there. So then you start a blog, and then we just ran the campaign, and we won so big. On the night I was declared a winner in the land office, I had mixed emotions, because on one hand, I wanted to just gain the experience and go back to work. But then we found out that we won 36 seats out of 56, and we formed government. So there was a lot of mixed emotions, knowing full well that from now onwards, my life is not going to be the same. You're a public figure. So I think some of the shock that I received after becoming an elected rep, even in a place like Subang Jaya, is how little Malaysians know about the political system in Malaysia. So a lot of people go out to vote, but they don't really know who they're voting for, what they're voting for. Okay, so like in Subang Jaya, they voted for me as the Adun, they voted for a member of parliament. But they are not aware of the system in the local council like MPSJ. But because they gave me their vote, so I'm responsible for any issues in relation to MPSJ. For example, potholes. If my neighbor did renovation without my consent, I will go and complain to my state rep. So when I first opened my service center, I think the first night we had about 30 people. They came and everybody brought their files, all their old cases, right? They just wanted to revisit the whole issue. And that's when I learned now how to discern certain things. Don't take everything at face value. Whatever people tell you, believe 50%, then go and do your own research and verify it. So it was very scary the first 2 years, and there was always a conflict within myself. I want to go back to my old life. I don't want to be a public figure. There's no space for leisure. I live in Subang. You go Subang Parade, people see you. On Sunday you're going to have dinner. People say, wow, so free, YB, no need to work, no need to. So all of us learn, go out of your constituency. If you want to go to somewhere that nobody recognizes you, maybe Sunway Pyramid is better because it's bigger and the more people around. So that was that kind of thing I went through. Every Saturday and Sunday, you have to attend to residents' events. So I have a sister who's my age, but we're not twins. I was born in January, she was born in the same year in December. And so I constantly saw the life that they live. They go kopitiam on Saturday, they just go and watch a movie. And here I am getting ready at 7 a.m. for gotong royong, like week in, week out, gotong royong with my residents. But after some time, I just accepted the fact that this is the career I've chosen, this is it. Whether I like it or not, I better move on. And so after that, it became very easy. After I accepted that fact that, this is what we have been called to do, we just do it. And so I gave a lot of my time and my priority to Subang Jaya vote, my constituency work, instead of party works, simply because I just wanted to be in Subang and really just take care of Subang Jaya well. And so because of that, I think the re-election in 2013 was a lot easier for me, simply because we have already spent the time working on the ground for 5 years. And then I became a mother. Some of you would know about my attempt to register my child as Malaysian instead of a Chinese or Indian. You see, because I grew up in Subang Jaya, I went to Sekolah Kebangsaan. I really feel as a Malaysian, there are two things I want to do if I go into politics. One is to fight racial discrimination, and because you're exposed in Australia. And second thing is I want to fight corruption. And so that these two objectives really guide everything I do in politics. And so when I was pregnant with my first child and was about to give birth, my husband and I discussed about this, and we say, this is our opportunity to really walk the talk. It's very easy for us to say fight race-based politics, but then in our own personal space, we don't do our best to make that a reality. And so I gave birth and I went to register my child. My husband is Malaysian Indian. And so they gave us a form, the race of the child, so we put there Anak Malaysia, after consulting with Saya Anak Bangsa Malaysia NGO. And then they have also a religion column. When we went to register, they say, okay, you cannot put Anak Malaysia, you can only choose China or India, because the system is not capable of registering anything else. So I said, okay, we want Dan Lain Lain. They say, cannot, because I'm not a Dan Lain Lain, my husband is not a Dan Lain Lain. Okay, then we say, okay, leave it empty. They say, cannot. It will automatically choose one, so you better choose. So we say, no, we'll leave it to you. So then they printed, they came out, China, Christian. And I tweeted, then that's how it became Malaysia Kini headlines. And then people started talking about it, and they say appeal. So we appeal. My husband hand-delivered the appeal letter to the Prime Minister's office, to the Home Minister's office, and to the National Registration Department. But my daughter is already 3 years old. She's turning three this Saturday, this Sunday, but we have not heard back from the departments. Okay, so when I gave birth to my second girl, we attempted again. We said, okay, we'll give it a try again. But this time, we were surprised that the form, they no longer gave you the option to fill up anything. They will automatically print out according to your father's race. So now I have one Chinese girl and one Indian girl. From the same womb, same father, same mother. So, this is the kind of... but I find it interesting because I'm in politics to challenge things like that, to go beyond just what is printed on a form. And then after re-election, the party decided to make me the speaker, and then we went through the election process in the House, and I was made the speaker at the age of 34. Last year 34, this year I'm 35. So when I became speaker, Nik Nazmi became deputy speaker, we made history. During that time, it was so scary because all your leaders, your political leaders in the House, the opposition, the chief minister, they are all older than us a lot, and here we have to make sure that we govern fairly in the House. And I remember after they announced that I was going to be speaker, I had the standing orders with me and just really nervous, I have to memorize. But even if you read from cover to cover, right, there's no way you can know everything, in your fingertips. But after the first few attempts, thank God everything went well. Now we are very comfortable in the role. I think it's very good if you're a woman, you aspire to be a speaker, you should go for it, because I think our threshold, we are more patient now. We are more patient as a listener. It's not so easy to provoke a woman. So as a result, the aduns and all can say a lot of things, but I'm not stirred in any way to move them out or to off their microphone. And also simply because I believe that now with live telecasts, you are responsible for your own behavior as an elected rep. Everybody can watch your behavior. I don't have to switch off your mic. You are responsible for whatever you say. Because of that, we gave a lot of airtime to the opposition, UMNO in Selangor. The first time in history, we allowed them to table a motion for it to be debated. The opposition leader even tabled a motion, emergency motion, okay, where we set aside every other order in the House to just debate his motion. That was the first time an opposition's emergency motion was allowed in the House. And I'm so glad to say that everything went very orderly. People were able to debate. The motions were not passed because we have the majority in the House, but at least, we want to show to other state assembly that you do not have to be afraid of motions being brought by opposition. Everybody is mature enough to debate it. So that's what we are in Selangor. We have a lot of select committees. We have 9 select committees to do check and balance on the executive, on the MB and the EXCOs, on how they govern Selangor. And we are quite impartial. And so in these select committees, we have UMNO and PR all represented. And very recently, I don't know whether you have read, I chair the CELCAT committee where we do public hearings, and for the first time, we actually summoned the Menteri Besar, the Chief Minister, as a witness to probe the issue of PKNS. So we are very, now in my 6th year in politics, I no longer find it a struggle to get up in the morning. Now I just accepted the fact, okay, this is it, I have to work. And it has become very inspiring even for ourselves, because we are very conscious of the fact that young people look up to us, and especially young girls. After I became speaker, I realized that a lot of young girls come and they are very interested to find out more about politics, because I think they believe that a person like me with no political background can be made speaker at the age of 34 and 35. You know, anything can happen. There are so many people who are smarter than me. I'm not the smartest person in Subang Jaya, but I just happened to be available at that time for service. And so for those of you who think about migrating to Australia and leaving Malaysia, and you think nothing good can ever come out of Malaysia, let me encourage you that good things can still happen at home. So give Malaysia a go, go back and pursue your dreams. It is possible for a young girl to climb up without playing dirty, without playing politics. You just be focused in your work and it can happen. Yeah. So with that, thank you so much for being so patient in listening to our stories. Later, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to ask us. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, our Selangor speaker. Next, I would like to invite our Deputy Selangor speaker, YB Nik Nazmi, to deliver his speech.
Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to Yeoh, to my panelists and to everyone here today. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. This is my 2nd time in Canberra and the 2nd time speaking at ANU. So I guess it's a habit. Every time I'm in Canberra, I'll be speaking here. As Hannah mentioned, we are on an official visit funded by the Malaysian Interest Group, which is a Australian government body founded to foster closer Australian-Malaysian relations. And this is obviously not part of the official program, but throughout our travels in Perth, Canberra and Melbourne, we are meeting Malaysians as well on our private capacity. So anyway, I think Hannah shared a lot about her personal experience. I'll just share one thing that I will differ with my Madam Speaker. Not all lady speakers are as tolerant. I'm sure you've been following the Australian speaker, who is quite notorious. So I think that, but I guess, maybe in general, lady speakers are better. But anyway, I think, Malaysian politics have changed a lot since 2008 when Hannah and I got elected. It has not stopped. The roller coaster ride is still going on until today. Since 2013 elections, we've still seen the politics is still depending on who you're talking to. Some will describe it as exciting, some will describe it as tiring, but basically it's not quiet, it's not boring. So it's very fluid, it's happening very fast, things are changing. And I think one of the worrying things is that is happening right now is, of course, the persecution is still going through. I'm sure some of you may be following. I was not supposed to be coming to Australia because my case, the appeal case, the government is appealing my Peaceful Assembly Act acquittal at the Court of Appeal. So I was supposed to be at the federal court this week. So luckily they gave us some time, so I could make it to Australia. But of course that's just a tiny case. There's other cases similar to my Peaceful Assembly Act case. Rafizi, Anthony Loke, Dr. Said Azman, they're all facing their own Peaceful Assembly Act, Cikgu Bat. And of course, Datuk Sri Anwar's case is going to appeal at the federal court as well. So there's a lot of these things going on. So that is a big thing that is hanging on the head of all Pakatan leaders, I guess, and that's part and parcel of being the opposition in Malaysia. Then, of course, the racial, religious tensions, which are not going away, and it's piling on, I think. I would think that, some people are saying that that's a reflection of greater religiosity. I don't agree. I think that greater religiosity and greater tension are two different things. The tension bit, a lot of it is politics. People are playing up for political purposes. But sadly that's happening, and it's a dangerous game. And it's playing on in Malaysia today. We've seen the Allah issue, the Bible issue, and all those things going on. And then you have political gangsterism. We saw in the Penang Assembly. That is scary because nowhere, basically, House of Parliament or State Assembly should be a secret space. It's immune, and yet you saw that sort of action, and we don't know whether they will face the same charges that I faced for the peaceful assembly that I had. But here you had people who were acting violently and were behaving like thugs, not just at the State Assembly but also at the DAP headquarters and office in Kuantan. Whether they will be treated in the same way, that remains to be seen. But it sets a very bad precedent, in our democracy. We do not want to be like Taiwan, where or Korea is it? But I know Taiwan for certain, where the parliamentary chairs are easily thrown to each other. So those are the worrying things that we face. And the fourth bit is. That's of course at the government side, but I think for Pakatan as well, frankly, we also have our issues. Now the Hudud issue is coming up, and I think the euphoria, partly we were driven by euphoria, the novelty of being Pakatan from 2008 until 2013. But now the euphoria is no longer there. People are expecting us to deliver results, and at the same time, some of us are perhaps not having their eyes on the ball, not focusing the greater priorities. So I think that's where we need to rediscover our common issues, because if you look at Malaysia's history, all political parties do well when they are at their most moderate, when they are at the centre. Whether it's PAS, whether it's UMNO, whether it's DAP, whether it's Keadilan, if they veer away from that, then they will be punished by the electorate. So we have to bear in mind of that. Another thing is also our political transition. I think all parties are facing that, including in Pakatan. And my party is now going through our party elections. I'm running for the youth chief, Ketua Angkatan Muda. And I'm trailing, so I can blame my Australia trip if I lose. And we also have our mess in our party elections. So some of the seats in Selangor and all that are going through a re-election process. So that is very important, because now that everyone is talking, especially for Keadilan, but it also has repercussions for Pakatan and Malaysian politics in general, is what's next after Anwar Ibrahim. So, and that's where the party elections are very important. Having said that, not all of it is doom and gloom. I do think that one of it is the fact that, for example, in Keadilan, if you are looking at the ranks right now, of course, the top contest is between YB Azmin, Tan Sri Khalid, and Datuk Saifuddin. That's for the number 2 position. But the number 3 position, both Nurul Izzah, Tian Chua, but also Rafizi are doing very well. And both Izzah and Rafizi are still in their 30s. So I think that's very positive for PKR per se. And also I think the AP is also going through their own rejuvenation process. Now you have Diana, who is the star. Last time probably Hannah was the prettiest DAP assemblywoman. Now there's Diana contesting in Teluk Intan. But so that's a process that would be very interesting to look at. But what is very crucial, I think, for Malaysian politics is Pakatan needs to find ways to overcome the issues that we face. And ultimately it is making the institutions work. Because people are feeling that the country is at adrift, that they do not see leadership, that's facing down all these threats of racism, extremism, and people are feeling scared. So I think that is where it's very important. And again, and I know that for some of you who are still young and who can still make a choice, who are still undergrads here, for example, if you are still deciding whether to come back or leave, and some of Malaysian students, as Hannah said just now, I was in the UK as well. We are very critical, and some of them, then you lose faith and all that. But I think that if you're critical, you want to make a difference, and you come back. That's the best way. If you leave, it's sort of giving up. Of course, I'm not saying, that you can't have a job overseas, but I'm just saying that if you can find a way to contribute back home, make a difference one way or another, because we need those who have been exposed, those who have the exposure to make a difference in the country. So I think that's all from me. I'm happy to entertain any easy questions. Hannah can take the difficult ones. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nik. Now I would like to invite our student representative, Mr. Ahmad, to deliver his speech.